Hi, everyone. So, yesterday I came here. It was a much nicer day weather wise than today um, to do my hike and my grounding and all that stuff. And I was planning on making a video yesterday, and I ended up not doing that because I couldn't think of something to talk about. And the content that I do here, the stuff that I do here, you know, I refuse to make videos and content just for the sake of bloating the channel with more stuff, unless it has real meaning, real purpose, and it's gonna help people in any way, shape, or form. People who are, attuned and drawn to the type of things that I talk about here, which is stuff related to life itself, real wisdom, lived wisdom, things that are pertaining to the spiritual side of life. And I understand that we live in a world today that there is very little interest in these things. I've come to terms with that. I understand that. I know that many will hear the call, if not everyone, at some point in their own lives, but few will answer. It's just the way the world is these days. It's okay. I'm not going to judge anyone here. That's the beauty of free will. But what I want to talk about today really is I want to recap something that I've talked about many, many times before here. And then yesterday I was watching a video from Jiddu Krishnamurti. I've talked about him before. He's one of my favorite modern era spiritual teachers that have once walked this earth. I think the wisdom that he carried was extremely valuable. And I love the way that he always talked about things because it was always very simple and direct to the point. You can't really become what you already are. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You can't become what you already are. Which is, and I've talked about this before many, many times, you are awareness, you are consciousness, you are presence. You are a part and an aspect of all that there is. That is everyone's true nature, true essence, whether they acknowledge it or not. It's a fact. It'll never change. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. Opinions are just that. They are opinions. They are a matter of your view of the world and your perception based upon your understanding of what life is and based upon your own experience. But a fact is always a fact, and that will never change, regardless of whatever your opinion and your perception on things. And I want to make something clear here. I do not perform I am not an actor. What you see here is what you get. This is who I am. That is how I am. I make this content in the hopes that this will reach the right people at the right time. That is all. Many people talk about meditation and things of this nature, right? And I have talked about on my channel many times before here that some of these things don't work for everybody. And when I watched this video from J. Krishnamurti last night, it reminded me of my own perception of these things and how I see these things. So he talks about how seeking enlightenment is a horrible idea. And let me tell you something, when I'm done with this video and I upload and all that, I'm gonna put it in the description, the link to the video that I am specifically talking about here. Some of the things he said. This whole idea that we need to become enlightened is a misconception, and is actually also confusing. And it's another way of diminishing who and what you truly are. When we start putting values and labels on things, that's when the problems come. This idea of enlightenment makes people believe of themselves as lesser things, lesser beings, when that is not the case. We are all the same. We're all part of the whole. We are all awareness, consciousness, presence. But there is a little trick, which is, because of free will, we have choice. And most of us choose to live life like most people without paying attention to these things and without turning on these aspects of ourselves that always exist and are always there at all times, even though we may not acknowledge them. So we have the power, the capability to turn this awareness, this consciousness, this presence on and off. And how do we do that exactly? Well, we pay attention to everything that we do. We observe. That is it. That is the only form of meditation that anyone needs. It's not about sitting in a yogic position waiting for the silence and the stillness to come, although many people choose to do it that way. But it becomes redundant doing that if you do not practice the pay attention part all the time to everything that you do in your life, throughout your day, throughout your life. So what we really should be doing here is paying attention to everything, to how we walk, to how we talk, to how we dress, to how we act, That is the key to maintain your true and most purest state of your real nature and your real essence, of your awareness, your presence. You're living in the moment. And I think that out of all of the modern era spiritual teachers that have lived not that long ago, which is the case with Krishnamurti, right? He nails this so well. His wisdom is priceless when it comes down to these things. Meditation is giving attention to everything daily, to everything that you do. That's the best way to meditate. Not sit down for half an hour, whatever amount of time it is that some people do every day, every once in a while, however often people choose to do these things, but do it all the time. As you're moving throughout your day, as you're performing actions, as you're doing stuff, as you're working. That is the key, that is the secret. So, there is no enlightenment. There's only this awakening from being asleep. That's how you wake up. That's how you awake. That's how you activate this presence, this awareness, this paying attention mode. It's just that most people just choose to live their lives on autopilot mode the whole time, on what I call sleepwalking mode. And now with these devices and all this access that we have to the technology that is available to us, it makes it so much harder and creates such a strong barrier force that it just keeps people in that state perpetually, almost all the time. Because people these days, they're always consuming some sort of information, some sort of media that is coming from outside of themselves. And whether you like it or not, most of the time, these things will affect your state of being. The way you think, the way you act, the way you perform your decision making, all of these things. And until people understand and realize what their true nature is and what they truly are, things just continue to be that way. But we have choice. That's the beauty of life. We have choice. We have the choice to activate this side of us, this part of us that is always there, regardless of how we choose to acknowledge it or not. It's not putting yourself into a meditative state. It's about you being in that state simply by paying attention to everything that you do. That's what it means to be aware. That is what it means to be present, to be connected to your true self, your true nature. your consciousness, your awareness. So you can't become what you already are. Because whether you choose to act or not, that is what you actually are. That is what you will always be. This is a deeply philosophical topic, deeply spiritual talk. And I know it may go up against all of this fake business guru persona that are out there preaching about enlightenment and what it means to be enlightened. There is no such thing. You are not a lesser being of any kind. There is nothing higher than you. The only difference is that the things that you would perceive as being higher than you, the beings that you would perceive as being higher than you, they've developed the capability and the ability through discipline of paying attention to everything that you do, of being in that state, always and at all times. That is the only thing that differs, that makes it different, from these beings that people so call enlightened. But feel free to click on the description in the link. I'll put the link to the video. It's like under 5 minutes, where he talks about these things, and he basically says that this whole idea of enlightenment is horrible. I think it's funny and hilarious, and he's absolutely true. He's absolutely right about this, and he hit the nail on the head. I'll put the link in the description. You'll see. This is really all I wanted to talk about today, my friends. So if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you later.